What's going on, YouTube? It's been a while since I just sat down and talked about my raw thoughts with all of you. This is Chris with the Trading Dojo, and today I'll be sharing with you my journey where I wasted over 4 years of my life trading incorrectly. I'm going to show you all of the steps that I took where I found profitability and how you could avoid the same mistakes that I made. Let's get straight into the video. The first thing that I would have done differently is I would have studied less. See, every time that I would go and watch videos, I would spend 6 to 8 hours just taking notes, looking at charts, yes, but I was not putting in any practice. So I was looking at support, resistance, supply, demand, volume, VWAP, and I would sit there and I would just fantasize about how much money I could be making, and look at this guy making this much and I'm gonna make this. And honestly, like, it's not productive. What you have to do is you really have to have a balance. So some of you go and you don't do any studying. You just try and take trades on the chart. You see one fair value gap and you want to take it. You see one support and resistance line and you want to take it. And you're not going to learn that way, but you're also not going to learn only studying. So you have to really put it into practice. But what I would recommend, for every one trading day, I would watch 1 to 2 YouTube videos and take good notes. You could quote whoever you're watching, whether it be me, whether it be like someone like Jade Cab, TT Trades. Those are all good ICT YouTubers. But what I would really do is I would sit there, I would quote them, I would go find the same things they're showing on their charts, I would go find on your charts, take screenshots of all of that, and then just all of the little intricacies where you could kind of summarize the important parts, things that you take away. Like, you should have all of those things that you could look back on, so you guys are actually learning. However, you really have to put this into practice at some point. And when you're learning a whole new system, I would say I would take 6 to 8 weeks before I would place my first trade. So really, it's a balance of not studying too much, but actually studying enough so that you guys are learning. The second thing I would start doing is forward testing. After 6 to 8 weeks, I would open up a paper trading account. Now, you're already going to know your system, you're going to know a little bit of psychology, and overall risk management, you'll learn that over time. However, this is going to allow you to put your studying into practice to actually start seeing the charts form. And a lot of people think that back testing is enough. And honestly, I never back tested, and I still never will, because I don't think it gives you the full picture of what's going on and the context, how the candles are forming. Now, it's good to learn a system when you're first starting out, just to see the kind of the pattern. It's more like pattern recognition when you're back testing. But forward testing is actually going to give you context, conviction, and confidence to actually place these trades. The third step that I would take to profitability, and you cannot miss this step, is journaling with context. Now, hear me out. A lot of people, they journal and they don't really have a system behind it. You should have a little bit of a system behind it, and also talk about your emotions. Now, what does that look like? So for me, when I'm journaling, I'm going to have a higher time frame delivery, some kind of bias, some kind of reason, whether that be a higher time frame fair value gap, some type of liquidity sweep from a higher time frame context, or some kind of news that's driving price. And all of this context, over time, once you journal it enough times, you're going to see it happen over and over and over again. Now, the issue with most traders is they're pattern traders. They see this setup and it looks visually the same, but there's no context behind it. And now that's the main thing that's going to make you profitable. You look at Kyle, the highest paid Apex trader. He made over like 2.6 million. Every single one of his trades have reasoning behind it. And that's honestly the reason why I'm profitable right now, is because there's reasoning, there's logic behind ICT. The issue I had with every other system that I've used is it's just visual cues. There's nothing else behind it. But when you combine the idea of where are market makers having these large positions in, how are they moving the market, and what days are they moving the market, all of this stuff combined really makes what is profitability to me. Now, when you're journaling, you're gonna have that, which is just higher time frame delivery, what kind of model are you trading, what kind of other confluences you have, whether that be SMT, low resistance, highs or lows, Just those few things, and I'll show you guys that on screen exactly what I look for. And then you're also going to be journaling your emotions. So how do you feel during the trade? And if I'm being honest with you guys, I've completely mastered emotions, because I took so many losses that I've become numb to it. At this point, it's just like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. Before, trust me, like, it was the end of the world if I took a loss. Like, I was like, like, honestly, and that's how you guys are gonna feel at first, but you guys are gonna overcome it just by journaling, just by mentioning, hey, this is how I felt today. But there's no reason to feel this way. There's no reason to feel terrible after a loss, because even the most professional of traders are gonna take losses. That's just how it goes. The fourth thing that I focused on was psychology. Now, how do you better your psychology? So a lot of the time I would watch podcasts whenever you have free time, whether that be driving, at the gym. You should be listening to a podcast, especially trading podcasts. This is going to give you a different perspective on the market, and more than just the market, but just on life, on how money works and how you should be thinking about money. Cuz in reality, money is just a tool. Okay? Like, we have this strong emotion to it, this strong attachment to it, that we think that's the end of the world if we lose it, when in reality, like, we have to risk some of that money in order to make more money. And in the long run, that's only going to benefit us. Whether you lose or you win, either you're going to learn a lesson or you're going to make more money. There's no in between, okay? As long as you're journaling, as long as you're taking all of the steps necessary, all of the steps that I showed you, you're going to learn whatever happens to your money. Now, the other thing that I did was I read books. So, Best Losers Win is probably my favorite trading book. This really talks about the probabilities in trading, as well as how to really manage your losses, how losses shouldn't affect you as much as they do, and how to manage them professionally. Main things that help me better my psychology. The fifth and final thing that I would focus on is risk management. And if you guys haven't caught on yet, I'm really going in order. First, you have to learn your system. You have to practice it in a practice environment. You have to journal it, figure out the context behind it, and then you have to get good at psychology. And the main thing that everyone forgets, and it's probably the most important thing. If you talk to any professional trader, they're going to tell you that risk management is the most important thing. And part of me still is like, no, like, it's not that important. But I know deep down, like, this is really what makes you profitable or not profitable. Whether if you're able to keep your losses small and your winners big. And that's very cliche, but there's many different ways to do this other than tightening your stop loss. Like, you can know when there's low probability days and high probability days. And that's literally what every professional trader does, is you really have to weigh out your risk on a day-to-day basis. Whether this be looking at Forex Factory, that's what I do. I look at Forex Factory. If it's not a high probability day, then I'm not going to risk as much, or I'm not going to trade as much. And that's how I keep my losers less, and I'm able to make more on high probability days. And something else that I introduced, I want to say over a year ago in my system, which helps me pass accounts, it helps me build a huge buffer, it's going to be pyramiding. And this is honestly like, think of a pyramid, the very top of it, this is what you should be focused on, okay? You need to focus on the base stuff down here, so don't think you could just come in here and start pyramiding. Okay, you can't. Honestly, like, this is probably the hardest skill to master, because most people don't have the psychology for it, and they don't know when to do it, and they just freak out when they do it. Okay, so this is something that's going to take time, but pyramiding, it's one of the best skills that you can learn. It's literally just adding positions, layering positions into your original position, but you have to know when to do it, and this is not for amateurs. But let me go on the charts, guys, and I'll show you a little bit more on what I think and what you should be focusing on. I'll see you guys there. We're on the charts now, guys. I want to show you my system, what I'm looking for on the chart, what I expected from this week, and how I'm journaling my trades. So right here, we have a XAU chart, gold. We're looking at the 15-minute. And my main focus right here on what is Tuesday, which is a trade that I took, I was looking at Monday's range. So this week we have FOMC meeting minutes. I'm not expecting too much, but I would expect a little bit of a move before that Wednesday coming up. So right here, Monday, I did not trade because I did not find anything interesting. However, if we look at this previous daily high, we swept it right here. We had a clear market structure shift. So all of these things that I'm mentioning are all requirements. They're all things that I'm looking for when I'm looking for a trade. So the higher time frame is starting to align with my overall draw. What's my overall draw? Well, I saw these relative equal lows down here. So I need to figure out, okay, how is price going to trade into a premium so that we could deliver to a discount? So right here, when we take out this high, and let me put this over here real quick. When we take out this high, we're also trading into a 4-hour fair value gap. So we're extremely bearish right here. Regardless of us trading up higher, I actually want us to trade up higher earlier in the week if we want to see expansion later in the week. So now that my criteria is met, we took out this previous daily high, I could start looking for a trade. What time am I going to start looking for a trade? Well, for me, my system, I know Mark trades a little bit differently. You might trade a little bit differently than me, but I prefer to look at after some type of Asia range is taken out. So right here we have Asia range highs. We took out that high, and obviously if I'm bearish, I want us to manipulate higher so then we can distribute lower. Once we took out that high in London session, I noticed that we were starting to trade lower. That is where I found this 30-minute inversion, and that was my entry. So if all of those things were not there, I would not have taken a trade. If Monday would have not accumulated like this, if it looked a little bit different, I probably wouldn't have taken a trade. And that's just a matter of me following my system, managing my risk, and overall, that's going to give me confidence in all of my trades. Okay, because when I woke up, because I slept overnight when I entered this trade, okay, so I entered right here. We were just hanging out like this, and I'm thinking, okay, like we might go hit my stop loss, like should I exit, this and that. But then no, I noticed that price is actually respecting very well. If you look at the hourly, we delivered extremely bearish right here. We were just hanging out inside of this 1 hour. So I was confident that we were going to trade lower to at least this low. So what does that look like in terms of my journaling? Well, my journaling is very, very simple. I pretty much just have a systematic version. Before, I would do more emotional, like now I almost never have to write about my emotions just because I'm so locked in with that. However, right here, I'm just mentioning like what's the time frame that I'm looking at, what is my entry. Okay, it was a 30-minute. You can see my execution right here. And then right here, overall trade, we're in a premium. We took out the previous day inside of a 4-hour fair value gap. Asia was rated. So all of this stuff, part of my system, part of power of three, equal lows as my draw, and then my psychology was good here. So this is what my journaling looks like now. Let me show you what it looked like over 2 years ago. So this was nearly 2 years ago, where I was struggling a little bit. I was not the best trader. You could see how much I write, and this is honestly how much you should be writing when you first get into trading. You should not be taking too many trades. I took 2 little trades right here. It was very choppy, whatever. I wrote all my emotions, all the things that I saw. This is what your journaling should look like when you're first starting out. Now, let's see another example. Here's another example of what your journaling should look like when you start out. Right here, I'm talking about all the reasons why price is trading this way. I'm mentioning where we're at, what's the bias, and like I go so in depth. Like it's crazy looking back because I don't realize how much I was writing. It was actually insane, but this is what helped me build my base to what my system is now. And over time, there's certain things like psychology, you're not going to have it right away. You're not going to have those things. You're not going to have risk management down right away. But if you could work on one single skill at a time, then you're going to build this thing that's called profitability. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit the like button down below. I really shared with you guys my journey, exactly how I became profitable, all my systems, all my journaling systems. Like, please, I really hope you guys learn something and you actually take something away from this and do exactly what I'm telling you. Because I promise you're right there. You're really close to becoming profitable. You're probably just missing one or two of these things that I mentioned. But, anyways, I hope you guys take care. Have a good trading week.